Hello, my name is Aakanksha, and our group is going to present on the topic of managing employee separation. In our presentation, we will be walking you through explaining employees' turnover, engagement, and communication with an exciting case study of Honda Vs Keays. Now, my team member will talk more about employees' turnover.
Hello guys, my name is Rohan and today I'll be talking about turnover. So, what exactly is turnover? It is an act of replacing an employee with a new employee. And the partings between organization and the employee may consist of a few things. The first one is termination. That means the employer tells an employee to not to come to work from the next day, as it might be a case of wrongdoing, or the employee's need is not fulfilled now. It may be in the case of retirement, where the employee feels that he has worked enough, that now he needs rest, or in case of some policies where at a certain age an employee has to get out of the company. The third one is death. It can be in the case of a sudden death of an employee, or it can be in the case of inter-agency transfers, where an employee is transferred from one location to another location within the same company. And the last one is it can be in the form of resignations, where the employee doesn't feel that he belongs to the company and he hands over the resignation letter to the employer. There are basically two types of turnovers: voluntary turnovers and involuntary turnovers. I'll be talking about voluntary turnovers. They are when an employee voluntarily chooses to resign from an organization. They could be a result of more appealing job offer, where the employee has got another job offer from the competitive company, where he's getting more salary or there is an increase in the position. The second one, it can be in the form of staff conflicts, where there is an interconflict between the employees of the company, and the employee doesn't feel confident or safe to work in the company anymore. Or it can be in the form of lack of advancement opportunities, where an employee is working for a long time for one company, he is not getting a promotion or increment in his salaries. Or it can be in the form of retirements, where there are certain policies in the companies where an employee has to leave after a certain age. Or it can be in the form of resignation, where the employee doesn't feel to work for a particular company and he hands over the resignation letter to the employer. Now my colleague will continue from the next slide.
Hello everyone, this is Sai Prashanth and I would be discussing about the involuntary turnovers. An involuntary turnover basically means that an employer makes a decision to discharge an employee and the employee unwillingly leaves his or her position. The main reasons of termination are as follows. Dismissal for just cause. Dismissal for just cause would be an employee doing something which is contrary to the employment contract. Next comes downsizing via layoff. An employee realizes that the employees are no longer needed for few operations and lays off those employees. Next comes progressive discipline. This means that the employee's behavior does not meet expected and communicated performance standards. Considerations for involuntary turnovers. Number one, constructive dismissal. An employer should make sure that he or she does not make any changes to the employment contract without the consent of the employee. Number two, employee filing a wrongful dismissal suit. This means that the employee might feel that his or her dismissal has been due to an improper reason. Number three, employer should provide reasonable notice to the employee to prevent a wrongful dismissal. That is, the employee feels that he or she has been dismissed due to improper reasons. Bad faith. Bad faith damages are compensatory rather than punitive. That is, they are meant to compensate the employee for damage. Then punitive damages. These are the damages exceeding simple compensation and awarded to punish the defendant.
My name is Alisha. I'm going to talk about employee engagement. Does it mean employee happiness? Then does it mean employee satisfaction? Then what does it mean? Employee engagement is the extent to which employees feel passionate about their jobs, are committed to the organization, and put discretionary effort into their work. Employee engagement goes beyond activities, games, and events. It drives the performance of an employee. Communication. Email, face to face, live chat. There are so many channels and expectations when it comes to effective employee communication. What works for one team may not work best for another. Employee communication has changed over the years. Effective employee communication means that your team runs smoothly and that teamwork is encouraged. A company can communicate with employees in various ways. Some of them are survey, top management address, employee suggestion programs, send weekly correspondence to all the employees, answer every employee email within 24 hours. Now, my friend Soham will explain the case study.
Hello, my name is Soham, and I'm going to talk about a case which explains wrongful dismissal by an employee, which is the case of Honda vs Keys. In 1997, Mr. Kevin Keys was an employee of Honda and was diagnosed with chronic fatigue syndrome, result of which he stopped working and was given disability insurance benefit by Honda for a year. On return to work, he was placed in a special disability program that allowed absences with a doctor's note. In spite of this, Keys was frequently absent, and Honda believed he was exaggerating the extent of his disability. Hence, Honda asked Keys to meet one of their doctors, to which Keys refused without explaining the purpose. As a result, Honda warned Keys that failure to do so would lead to his termination, to which Keys refused again and was terminated. As a result, Kevin Keys sued Honda for wrongful dismissal, and the case was opened in the Ontario Superior Court of Justice, which ruled in the favor of Keys. The case ruled that Keys was entitled to 15 months' notice, which was increased to 24 months because of Honda's bad faith in the matter of termination. As per the case rulings, Honda's action of discrimination and harassment in relation to his attempt to resolve his accommodation difficulties, $500,000 in punitive damages was awarded to Keys. As a result of which Honda took the case to the Court of Appeal, where the appeal was dismissed and the amount of punitive damages was reduced to $100,000. The rulings of the court sparked the controversies that Keys was granted largest award of punitive damages, and it was also said that the rulings could be used to expand damage award in front of human rights tribunal. After this, the case was reopened in the Supreme Court, ruling that Keys was wrongfully dismissed and Honda did not describe the responsibilities and skills of Keys, nor did it describe the character of last employment. The court stated that Honda had shown bad faith by increasing Keys' notice period. Now, my friend Akansha will explain further.
The Supreme Court concluded that since there was no evidence of discrimination and no breach of human right legislation, there was no need to deal with Key's request for recognition of a distinct tort of discrimination, and that Honda acted in a bad faith. In our opinion, if we were to judge this case, we would have followed the footsteps of Supreme Court. The reason being, this judgment eliminates award of punitive damages in a wrongful dismissal action. The judgment sets an example for employers dealing with employee absenteeism. It limits the scope of damage award in the context of wrongful dismissal and restricting the availability of punitive damages award. What would be your decision if you were a Supreme Court judge? Please leave your comments below.
Thank you guys for being with us in the whole course of this presentation. I hope you all like the presentation. I'll leave you with a motivational quote which says, "We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, therefore, is not an act, it's a habit." Thank you. Have a nice day and stay safe.